The following is a paid program, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent the opinions of the management of this station or Hamel Broadcasting.
This is 1 in 31, a presentation from Anderson Center for Autism. 1 in 31 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 31, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And today I am speaking with Heather Edwards, who is the founder and CEO of an organization called AhHa Broadway. And I say it that way because there is an exclamation point in it, and it's a great name. And I want to welcome you, Heather, to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure. So I know that in the space of both kind of entertainment as a performer as well as entertainment as an audience member seeking those opportunities, and maybe as a family member raising a child with autism, there's so much happening. There's so much changing in the world in terms of both accessibility as somebody looking to become a performer or get into that kind of either recreational or vocational space, but also so many things happening that are making performances and being an audience member of those performances more accessible than they ever used to be. So I'm excited to hear from your perspective what's going on, and we're going to get into the work that you do with your organization. But first, let's hear a little bit about you and your background. Go as far back as you'd like to, and kind of leading you up to what you're doing today.
Well, I've always been somebody who likes creativity, whether it's arts and crafts or whether it's music, dance, and acting. I've always, as far as back I can remember, even laying awake at night when my parents told me to go to sleep and having pretend talk shows in bed with celebrities, what have you. So I've always been creative in that way, but always admired folks who were, in the industry or created things with their hands, art, visual arts, performing arts. I just, it's a part of me. I can appreciate the effort and the talent that people put into it. And even things that I'm not good at, even more so, like I would love to be able to paint. And so I've tried and I understand what goes into it. It is not easy. People who do it and it's beautiful and amazing make it look easy. And so that's something that I think falls into any category. When someone is good at something, they make it look easy and others go, oh, I could do that. You may have gone to, for instance, craft shows and people have vendor tables. You'll hear someone say, oh, well, how much is that? And they'll tell them, they're like, oh, well, I can make that at home for a lot less. And I always would, great, bring it back so I can see how you did. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Because they'll if they come back, oh, it's a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. And so I started studying piano when I was 6.5, and I found out right away that that was something that I was able to do well and sight read and what have you. And I wanted to dance and I wanted to do acting, but my parents said pick one. And so I stuck with piano. And then as I got older, I got into studying dance. And I had an next door neighbor that was an actress that told me to audition for something, and then I got that bug, and just and I've always liked needlework and quilting and learning more things. It's very, what should I say? I have a very addictive personality towards creating things. It's I have to kind of taper it off, or I have too many interests and not enough time. So, but yeah, it's something that's always been a part of my being, I guess you would say.
That's great. And when you were talking about that sense of, when you're really good at something from another person's perspective, it can look easy. I've always thought of that as it's part of the magic of it. It's part of the fantasy. Like when I used to dance around in my living room listening to the Annie soundtrack. I'm of that era where I had the double album, and I absolutely was like, I am so spot on with this music. I could get up there and I could sing the Annie soundtrack, no problem. I couldn't. I'm sure that I would never be able to do that. But going to see that performance as a young child with my parents when I was, in New York City on Broadway, it was like, it opened up a world for me that I never stepped completely into. But those couple hours watching that it's very unique. It's an incredible experience to watch somebody or a group of people do something that seems so effortless, because if they're doing it like that, I was like transformed and I could see myself in there. But those memories have stuck with me. And so I just want to reinforce that. I think that that's one of the things that makes any type of art and creativity so spectacular, either when you're able to engage with it or watch it or just kind of be next to somebody who's doing it and feel the energy that they're developing and feeling when they're absorbed in it. It's got so many facets to it. It's amazing. Okay, so piano was your big thing, but you've got into some other things. I think I read somewhere that you really did get quite involved and have been very involved as a performer in a lot of
Oh yeah, I
ways in
still
your
perform.
career. Yeah.
I love to play. I love working with other musicians and
Hmm.
actors, and it's my soul. To not seriously, I've done more corporate jobs and what have you. I'm thankful that I'm able to do other jobs if I have to or need to, but I also know that when I'm sitting there, I'm aching
Hmm.
because I know what I should be doing and I know where my heart is and my passion. And so, yeah. And I also love, well, okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. So I've pursued my own art and songwriting and recording and working in all different genre of music and what have you. But I also needed something sometimes to subsidize my income, or there's certain months of the year where there's not as much work or what have you. Or even times like, 2008, there was, hardships for everybody as far as the economy and what have you. So you had to find other
Sure.
ways to do things. And so people weren't spending money on having parties with musicians or going to shows, and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that I discovered was becoming a teaching artist. And so, having worked with different people in different companies and what have you, I realized that is also a really fabulous place to use my talent because I can impart that on other people and I can help them discover things that they may not even know. Just like
Hmm.
when I learned about piano, it was because my parents brought home a piano and I wanted to play a song and they took me to piano lessons and then I discovered it. But what if, one of those, what if we didn't have a piano? What if my
Yeah.
parents hadn't taken me? What would I be? Who would I be? Etc. So when I see anybody, little kids, high school, seniors, veterans, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Everyone, and people say, well, is it too late to start? Absolutely not. Start when you're ready. Start when you discover it. Start when you're able. Like I said, I chose piano because I knew I was good at that right away. But dancing and acting, what have you, I didn't start until college, really, or after college. So,
Hmm.
and I still continue to learn. There's always something to learn. Always, always,
Yeah.
always, always. And so when people say, is it too late for me? Absolutely not. No, no,
Hmm.
no. Do it when you can. So I like to see the joy on people's faces when they discover the things that they didn't know how to do or that
Yeah.
they were not confident, and then they do become confident, and to see them be like, oh, did I just do that?
Yeah.
You did, you did, you did.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
amazing.
It's such a
And
shared experience. That's great. That's great.
yes, yeah. So they go hand in hand.
Did you have a point in your career or just your personal life where you connected with either somebody you were teaching or working next to or just new in your life with a disability or maybe even more specifically an invisible disability who maybe that you feel like kind of sort of clicked something for you in terms of this is also something that I'd like to push forward in my career?
Yes. Well, growing up, there were kids in school, and that I knew, and I was friends with them. And when you're friends with someone, they tell you things. It doesn't matter who
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
And so I learned from them. And all through life, you meet people and you work with people and you see how people are being treated and you see how people should be treated.
Mhm.
And that's always been something about me. It hurts my heart to see people being treated as less than
Mhm.
or people making an assumption. In fact, I just met someone the other day and she is advocating for her child to he wrote a book and
Mhm.
it's basically about normalizing people who are different instead of because no one has teaching moments really about how little kids perceive people that are in a wheelchair or that have
Mhm.
crutches or who whatever, and so they're afraid because it's different. And
Mhm.
so to destigmatize or to just be it's just another person, they're just different, just like you have
Mhm.
straight hair and I have curly hair, they just have something different about themselves. And don't be afraid to talk to them, don't be afraid to play with them, they want to play with you just as much as you want to have a friend too. So that's something that I've always noticed. But as I've gotten more and more into being a teaching artist and arts education, I've seen the power that the arts bring and the community and the camaraderie and the healing and also, I mean, there are tons and tons of studies like Beethoven. There's things about listening to Beethoven that helps heal. And if you have brain cancer or brain tumors, I noticed, I read an article, I wish I could quote exactly, but it basically said for people, they did a study, and people who were listening, there's different vibrations in the music and the way that it's makes the synapses fire and what have you, that it is healing. It is, they have, and I've seen children who are nonverbal and they will sing. And I remember there was a mother in the audience and the performance was over and they were clapping and she was crying. I was like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she said, I've never heard his voice.
Oh.
But singing, it's a miracle thing. Singing, sometimes if someone is nonverbal, they still will sing. Or sometimes if someone has a brain injury, they have trouble forming words or recalling words. They know what they want to say, but they can't connect everything to make it. But if you ask them to sing it, sometimes it will come out. Sometimes it's one of those aha moments, aha Broadway. It's one of those moments that, oh my gosh, who would have thought? But there are things like that music and the arts can bring out.
Absolutely. I've heard similar things. Specifically, I've heard about people who who stutter, and often when they sing, that all drops, and so it's quite amazing. Coming from a musical family, I would totally agree with you with the sort of untapped potential, even the things that we don't know yet, in terms of what music and movement can do internally for some people, and for all of us, really, whether it's an obvious thing or something more subtle. So we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask you to talk more about AhHa Broadway, what it is, and how people find out about it, and what you're doing through that avenue particularly. So we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we will talk more with Heather Edwards of AhHa Broadway. This is 1 in 31, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
I'm Angela Bassett. As a first responder on screen, I know what it means to act fast in an emergency. In real life, the same urgency can save lives, especially when it comes to food allergy. For 33 million Americans, one bite can cause a life-threatening reaction. Now, there's a needle-free option, a new way to carry epinephrine. Know the risk, know the options. Be ready to act. Learn more at foodallergy.org/ready-to-act.
And now 1 in 31 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs presentation from the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 31, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking today with Heather Edwards, who is the founder and CEO of an organization called AhHa Broadway. And Heather, thank you so much for sharing so much of your sort of background, how you came into the arts, sort of who you are in that realm. And now I'd love to just shift into what is AhHa Broadway. You founded it. Tell us about when and why and what it is.
Sure. So AhHa Broadway provides arts education to communities. We serve 3K all the way, seniors, veterans, and we do everything from musical theater to improvisation, comedy, seated dance and movement classes, and we're constantly coming up with new things. And it was started with the idea that we really do truly love the community. And being a teaching artist and a musician, and I'm an arts administrator, I've been on both sides of the table. So I know administratively what it takes, grant writing and fundraising and all that nitty gritty, which can sometimes be very, challenging because of the times that we've been living in. It's very challenging. And also being an artist and teaching and imparting the wisdom and performing and being creative. And so I wanted a place where teaching artists could work and love going to work and be heard. So they can be creative, follow the syllabus or follow whatever programming that we're providing, but I want them to be, able to show their touch to it, their flair. And also if there's a problem wherever they are, let's say they're in a school and there's challenge that they're facing with administration or with a certain child that they've tried everything, their bag of tricks with, and they are not getting a meeting with a principal or whatever it is, if they come to me and they say, hey, I need help with this, that I will say, okay, tell me about it. Let's work on it. Not say, oh, well, you should hear how hard my day is, or go, yeah, I'll get to you. And then, so because I've encountered things like that. So I wanted them to have a place where they feel heard and supported and where they can be creative. And as far as the community goes, there are people who they have a passion for what they're doing, but I'm a people person, and I really want to connect with the community. It's not just showing up, get it done, mark it off the list. Woohoo, we did it. I love the people that I work with. I want to work with them again. I want to see them again. We just had our summer musical theater camp, which is 10 days. And we're with these children from 10 to 4 every day. And you fall in love with them in that, in a very short time. Yeah, sure. And so it's like seeing them every day for 2 weeks. And then the following Monday after the show comes and you're like, where are the kids?
Yeah. I know, it feels so empty, right?
And true. And even then when they're in school, like people move or kids miss the last day or what have you. And to not have that opportunity to say goodbye, even people don't understand. As a teacher, you're not just doing a job, you're connecting with these students, no matter what age they are. You're connecting with them and you miss them and you look forward to seeing them and you think about them and you're worried about them when they're not there. Are they okay? So, but we have many schools in New York City that focus on working with children that are in need of more attention for whatever reason. Sometimes English is a second language. Sometimes it's neurodivergent. Sometimes it's physical differences. Whatever it is, we've got all kinds of different things. You can't pack a single person into a box and say, hey, you're this, right? Every single person's different. Every single person has their own things that they excel at or that they need extra help with. And I have been in groups where I've gone and sometimes people don't tell you. Because for whatever reason.
Self-disclosure, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't know, maybe they haven't been tested, maybe they're embarrassed, maybe they think you'll treat them differently, and whatever the reason it is, but sometimes you discover it on your own, sometimes you discover it after you wish you had been told so that you could have handled things differently up front, perhaps. I once had a student and we went around in a circle, say the role that you're playing and something interesting about yourself. And we went around the circle and kids were doing the normal, hey, I'm playing Susie and my favorite color is blue. Or, hey, my name is Sam and I'm playing the garbage collector and I really like dump trucks, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And this child said, hey, my name is, and I have anger management problems and anxiety. And I was like, wow. And how old are you? I'm 9. And I said, you are one brave little kid. That's amazing. Thank you so much for telling me. Thank you for sharing that. And that was super important. And this little kid told me, and the grownups didn't tell me, but the little kid, but it was so helpful. It was so helpful. And, so moving forward, like I said, we're always trying to come up with ways to serve more people and expanding our programming and being very inclusive and making sure that people who don't have access, especially, there are a lot of programs that need funding and communities that don't have it. So we try to bring it to those people that don't have access.
Yeah. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah,
the camp sounds amazing. Do you offer it just once a summer, or are there multiple options? Okay.
No, we have the camp once, mostly because it first of all, it's very intensive and it goes very fast, and it is expensive, and we fundraise for it all year round. We have donors, we have sponsors, we do everything that we can to try and keep the cost low, because it's very expensive for a lot of the things the musical theater camps that are in New York City, especially. Some of them can run like $1,000 a week, and many people do not have that kind of money. So, and especially if they have, more than one child that wants to participate, it's just cost prohibitive. So we try to make that not a non-issue. We try to, keep it low, and we try to have partial and full sponsorships based on the fundraising that we do. And then school principals or parent coordinators or what have you may nominate a student based on need and merit. And not only does the student have to be on board, but the families have to be on board. This isn't like glorified babysitting. This is something that is a really special thing that the kids get to participate in a real theater on Broadway and meet Broadway professionals and have talkbacks and go to a show. Some of the children have never even set foot in a theater.
Yeah.
So to see a show.
Speaking of that, do the kids or the individuals who participate in the camp or any of your other programs, is there a prerequisite that they have any experience at all? Or can this just
No.
be based purely on just I'm interested and I want to try this?
Yes, we don't have a formal audition and then you get in. It's they sign up and then we have them submit some materials to us that we can get to know them better and base casting on that. But we don't turn kids away unless we just don't have room anymore. But that, that's a problem, thank goodness we haven't had to have dealing with,
good.
So,
and what about, is it an integrated program where there's individuals who self-disclose a disability and then also people who are very neurotypical and physically not 100%. Stable? So it's a real mix.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not just a program specifically for people with special needs. It's an inclusive, accessible program for everybody. It's inclusive and
accessible. However, we did work this year. We have a partnership with Queens Centers for Progress. And
yes, I saw a video about that Willy Wonka. That was amazing.
It's amazing. And they help individuals with life skills and independence and what have you. And they love the arts and making things and singing. And so they wanted to start a theater group. And so we partnered with them and we chose to do Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka Kids. And they were incredible. We had a full crew of people who were making the set and the props and what have you and the backdrops. And then we had our cast and pure joy. I mean, the joy was palpable. And our teaching artist, director, and choreographer, Brad and Merton, talk about beloved. I mean, they just, oh my goodness. And I knew he was going to be the guy. I knew he would be amazing. And they did. They super loved him. And the show day happened and they were immediately saying, what are we doing next? What's the next? Can we do this? And it's actually one of the things was Annie. And everybody in that program just had a wonderful time. And we couldn't have asked for more. I mean, it was just really beautiful. And the audience was amazing too.
I was just going to say, for those of you listening, go to the website, and we'll get to that in a second, because there's a beautiful short video. You made, you were on the news and everything, and that specific event was on the news. And there's the young man who played Willy Wonka. I think he said I play Willy Wonka himself. But going back to what you were originally saying a while ago about singing, towards the end of that clip, he starts to sing Imagination, and it's exactly what you just described. This young man is sort of clearly vocal and a verbal communicator, but you can see the processing sort of finding the words, and then he starts to sing, and it's just gone, and he just gives this great smile. It was beautiful, and so I just wanted to make sure that our listeners go to your website and check out that experience and others. And speaking of that, we are getting close to the end of our conversation, so let's make sure we put out that website. So how do people find you and get more information?
So AhHa Broadway, AhHaBroadway.org, O-R-G, AhHaBroadway.org. We're also on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X, at AhHa Broadway. No exclamation point on those. Sometimes the exclamation point isn't allowed on places, so AhHaBroadway straight through. And there's tons of photos and videos and some news articles and tips and tricks on singing and acting and what have you. And again, everyone is welcome to contact us if they want to participate in it. We have online Zoom workshops, in fact, and it culminates in a performance. But not only if you don't want to be in it, you can come and be in the audience for free. That's one of the beautiful things too. Come and be a supporter, clap, laugh. Who doesn't like to laugh, right? Come to free. And it's clean comedy too. It's clean comedy. So
that's good to know. And that's a great point. That's a great point, because there's also a lot of people who want that but don't always feel welcome in the audience. And so I love that you're inviting people to do that. Plus, for the performers, you need an audience.
But sometimes they want to check it out.
Fun to be up there.
Yeah, to see it's a safe space, and then they say,
yeah. Well, and I also noticed, that you also work with people to become members of the crew, and they're working on the props and the backdrops and things, and it really, that's one of the beautiful things I think about drama. And I go back to my high school experience on the drama crew. I was always a little too nervous to be up front on the stage. But I loved it. And part of the reason I loved it is because there's something extraordinarily equalizing about it. It's typically this incredibly warm, welcoming community of people who, and literally by what you're doing every day, you realize just by being there that this other thing could not possibly happen without you doing your piece of what you're doing. And you really start to learn how teams work. So I think what you're doing is great. I'm sorry to have to end the interview, but we're out of time.
So fast.
But this is, I know, but I really encourage people to visit your website. That's ahhabroadway.org. We'll send all that information out when we post this, the link to this interview. And Heather Edwards, thank you so much for being on the show and talking about AhHa Broadway.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed my time with you. Thank you.
Great. This is 1:31, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky. And remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 31, a weekly presentation from Anderson Center for Autism. Join them for another edition of the show next weekend.